Good morning and welcome to another episode of The Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV, and as always brought to you by our great friends at topsport.com.au. We're coming at you not from the studio today, we're actually coming at you from home, but as usual on a Friday morning, I'm joined by Benyam Kidane from NBA Australia. BK, what is happening, mates?
What's good, my man? Another glorious Friday of NBA action is upon us.
Yes, it is. It is. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of stuff going on in the NBA, as always. We're going to start out with a little bit of Chris Paul, though, BK. He's really proved his longevity, his status as one of the all-time greats. He passed a milestone, reached number 3 in all-time assists with 10,336, only behind Jason Kidd and John Stockton, who has 15,806. BK, we just quickly touched on this just before the show started. What does this say about Chris Paul? And do we think he gets to, we know he's not going to get to number 1. So do we think he gets to number 2?
It'll be tough. I mean, longevity is the key here for any of these kind of records. We saw, John Stockton play a million years in the league. Number 2, though, he's not that far away, but I don't know if he has the legs to maybe hang on for another 3 seasons, averaging around 9-10 a game. That's a lot of assists. But what it does say about Chris Paul is, he sort of started to get his flowers a little bit last season after taking the Suns to the finals. And this guy has been consistently one of the best point guards, if not the best point guard in the league for the better part of 15 odd years. I mean, how long ago were we having that Deron Williams, Chris Paul argument? That feels like a long time ago. And Chris Paul is still out here doing his thing like that. So I think it's just a testament to his ability to A, stay on the floor, but B, be really productive, well into his mid to late 30s. It's pretty incredible when you put it into historical context like that.
Well, I mean, I think he had 18 assists yesterday. So that just goes to show you right there. But like you said, it's, he's only sort of gotten his flowers the last couple of seasons, because I feel like he was kind of like, we knew how great he was when he was with New Orleans. He goes to the Clippers, you've got Lob City and Blake Griffin and all that sort of stuff. That didn't end up in a championship. Maybe they had a couple of good squads, in his time there. Goes to Houston. But I feel like he's only started to get the respect, I guess, that he deserves once he went to OKC, because he went to OKC and people thought OKC was going to be a graveyard. And he went there and he made everyone on that team better. Once it was it had been an exodus at that point. Everyone had already gone. Made that team better. Goes to Phoenix. Again, people kind of thought, all right, this is the end of the line for Chris Paul. He's playing out his days. Now, look, it was maybe a case of the perfect storm for them, last season, making it all the way to the NBA Finals. But they made it, and he was a large part of that.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you nailed it with the OKC thing. I mean, what they had like a 0.2% of making the playoffs. He takes them into the first round. And, I'm a big Chris Paul fan. I really enjoy watching him at this point in his career, just because how surgical he is. He's not moving too fast. It's mid-range jumpers, pick and roll. And, he's playing like an old YMCA hooper out there. He's just thinking the game through. So I hope he can stay healthy. He has been, comparatively reasonably healthy in the last few years. He's got the new vegan diet. He's looking spry. So if he can, hang on for another 3 or 4 years, maybe number 2 is not out of reach. Maybe he plays up until he's 40. But I think he still definitely does have a few good years left in him. I mean, the Phoenix Suns definitely think so. They gave him that nice deal over the summer. So maybe Jason Kidd is within his reach there at number 2. Which, when it's all said and done, we're going to look at Chris Paul, in a pretty different light in terms of where he sits on the pantheon of all-time point guards.
Well, he's averaging a career low 13 points per game, but his assist numbers are still up. He's at 11.8 assists a game. So that might, instead of, the 2.5 seasons, if he's averaging 10 assists, it might get him to what, 1 season and 3 quarters or something like that. If he keeps those numbers up, we'll have to wait and see. I want to talk about another point guard, BK, one that's probably, not doing as well as Chris Paul, I guess, right now, Dame Lillard. Yesterday, the Blazers lost 107-104 to Cleveland. They're 3-5 on the season. Dame's averaging 18.6 points, 8.6 assists, but the points per game is a career low for him. 35% from the field, 23% from three-point range. BK, what is going on with Dame Lillard?
Are we just going to blame the new ball on this? Is this what we're going with? But there is a lot of factors, I think, going into this. Obviously, with Chauncey Billups as the new head coach, they're running a lot of different stuff offensively this season. It's not just let's give Dame the ball and let him cook, which really should be the Portland Trail Blazers offense. But, I think we're sort of starting to see the mileage in terms of not long term, but he's just played a lot of basketball in the last sort of 12, 18 months, coming off the Olympics with Team USA. His injuries in terms of just carrying a few little knocks and bruises here and there. And I think when you sort of compound that all together, that's kind of what we're seeing in this slow start to the season. I'm not too concerned just because we've seen Dame Lillard do it at a high level for a really, really long time. But I think once they sort of settle into a little bit of a groove, with Chauncey Billups and they kind of find exactly who they are as a team offensively, we'll start to see things bounce back, because just as quick as I guess as we're going to say, oh, is there something wrong with Dame? He's probably going to drop 50 on the weekend.
Yeah, and a game winner or something like that. But you mentioned that, I think it is a case of fatigue as well, because the Blazers season ended in June, and I think a couple of weeks later, or maybe not even, he was on that plane going to Team USA training camp.
Yeah.
Does the whole Olympic thing. They come back. He might have had a couple of weeks off before he got back into training camp again for NBA regular season. So I do think that is a factor. Do you think the fact that, that sort of, does he want to be there? Does he want to leave? Is that a factor as well, BK?
I'm not too sure, because he's kind of come out and said, after the trade rumor sort of swirled, like he's 10 toes down with the Portland Trail Blazers. He had that freestyle the other day. He's committed to Rip City. So I don't think there is necessarily the same energy, I guess, coming from Lillard in terms of maybe wanting to get out of Portland, which I don't think ever really was the case. I think he was more just trying to leverage to get them to get him some help. I mean, we saw the report a couple of days ago of the Don Corleone Godfather meeting he had with LeBron,
yes,
and AD at LeBron's mansion. So, I mean, if he wasn't swayed to try and push something through after having that meeting, I don't know if he is going anywhere. I think he really does want to stay in Portland and be on that lonely hill with the Greek Freak and Dirk.
Yeah, there was an interesting quote in that article that Dame said. He said. He was talking about what LeBron said to him, and he said he painted the picture to me that if I were to leave, the situation could look like this. He didn't tell me to come to LA, and he didn't say anything to me that I didn't already know, other than what it could look like. I told him, I know if I were to play with you, I know it would work out because of my skill set and obviously who they are. So that sounds to me like he just wants the Blazers to build a contender around him. So I agree with you. We don't know. The NBA is very, it's a very fluid season. Things change and players change their minds at the drop of a dime. So he could change his mind by the time the trade deadline comes around and say, look, I want out of here. But yeah, I agree with you. I think for the moment he's committed to Portland and he really wants to build. I think he's trying to put that pressure on the franchise to build a winner around him while he's still in his prime. Speaking of a team that's not really building a winner right now, the New Orleans Pelicans, BK.
They might accidentally be tearing it down.
Yeah, I think they're going Benjamin Button. They're doing things in reverse. They lost yesterday, 112-99 to the Kings, 1-8 on the season. What's your take on what's going on in New Orleans?
Yeah, it's not looking great out there. They've lost 5 in a row, a couple of games to the Sacramento Kings, which is never a great indicator of how your season is going. Shout out to the Kings, though. But yeah, no Zion Williamson. Brandon Ingram's missed some games, and this is Jonas Valanciunas' team right now, and I think that's probably the issue with the Pelicans. They haven't been able to have anywhere close to their best team out on the floor this season, and really it starts and stops with Zion. He's still working his way back, and to what form that kind of looks like. He's got to get himself in game shape. He hasn't played in a while. He's coming off a couple of injuries, and when you have a guy at that size with sort of knees and that kind of thing, it's not a great sign early in his career. But I want things to work there. I don't want this to be a precursor to Zion bouncing somewhere else. I thought they had a real opportunity to kind of launch this franchise into a new era, but I think that kind of ended for me when they just kind of went, we don't really want Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
You don't think Lonzo Ball will help this team right now?
Yeah, and have you seen Lonzo Ball play with Chicago? Like, that jump shot is looking fantastic. So,
and he played nice with Zion too. So I don't understand what's going on out there.
There's a couple of nice little cornerstones that they could have built around. But you've mentioned Zion. Obviously, his weight is a bit of a talking point right now. He's coming off that foot surgery. He's put on a few pounds. Yesterday or a couple of days ago, even Charles Barkley had a bit of a dig, and he said, it looks like me and Shaq had a baby. Is that going to be an issue moving forward for the Pelicans? Because a guy with that size and, that relies on explosiveness, in his game so much, to be at that size and then obviously having to come back from these injuries, is that going to be an issue for the Pelicans moving forward?
I mean, we've seen with Zion, I think he could probably still fly at this size. It's more the injuries. It's more, how are you kind of recovering, the time it's taking. And when you're kind of putting that pressure on your body at a young age to kind of constantly be in rehab, coming back from injuries, I think that's really the biggest thing that could slow down his growth, because it's crazy to think as great as he's been, he hasn't really played that much in the NBA in terms of games played. Like he missed a chunk in his rookie season. He's coming into year 3 now, hasn't played a game yet. So it's crazy just I guess the expectation we have of Zion, given that he hasn't actually really played a ton, but when he has, he's been incredible. So that's kind of where it does come in. But I'm not too sure where the future kind of lies with Zion and the Pelicans, because if you're Zion, you're looking at the moves this organization is making around getting the most out of you and keeping you happy. They haven't really done that so far. So I think I think the heat's kind of on them to kind of get things right, because Zion's the kind of guy, I don't know, does he turn down that qualifying offer? Is he the first rookie to not take that max rookie extension?
He might be the first rookie to do that,
because he's getting money off the court. He's straight for cash. So it wouldn't be crazy in my estimation if he was to go. That's obviously a little while down the track still. So the Pels do have time to obviously get things right. They do have Brandon Ingram. I like Josh Hart. Valanciunas is probably one of the most underrated big men in the league. So they do have some nice pieces on that squad. So it's really just a matter of seeing how that all looks with Zion out on the floor healthy, which we should hopefully see in a couple of weeks' time at least.
Let me ask you this, BK, and I know we know it's the injuries have played a big factor in us not having seen Zion, as much as we'd like to. Let me ask you this. Do you think the Pelicans are looking at Ja Morant and saying, maybe we should have drafted him?
Oh man, I think everybody is wishing they could have drafted Ja Morant, but at the time, no chance. There's just, you could have lost your job if you didn't draft Zion.
Yeah, I guess hindsight is 20/20. And look, and Zion might end up becoming that player that we expect him to be anyway. It is still only year 3 for him. He has missed a ton of time through injuries. BK, we're running out of time. Let's run through some games and we'll get some predictions. We've got the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat. Miami Heat favorites in that game. BK, who do you like there?
Hey, South Beach bringing the heat. This is my team, the Miami Heat. They've been killing. The Celtics don't look great at the moment either, so I'm going to go with the heavy favorite there in Miami.
Yeah, I'm all aboard the Miami train as well. I think they're looking fantastic. They're playing basketball on both ends on the floor, playing like a team possessed. Best team in the East so far. I'm going with Miami as well. We've also got to take a look at the Rockets and Suns coming up there. The Suns, heavy favorites in that one. Houston, not very good. Who do you like, BK?
Yeah, I think you just said it just there. The Suns haven't necessarily gotten off to the best start. They're 3-3, but again, this Rockets team, as exciting as they are to watch and as fun as they are to watch, I think that's probably going to be the long and short of it. I can't see them beating the Phoenix Suns.
And let's take a look at a couple of games. Tomorrow, we've got the Knicks at the Bucks. The Bucks haven't been healthy. Knicks coming off a loss to the Pacers. Knicks have fallen a little bit in the standings. Is the Bing Bong era dead already, or can the Knicks come back?
Hey, Bing Bong is not an era; it's a lifestyle. So I'm gonna stick with the Knicks. As you mentioned, the Bucks, they're walking wounded a little bit. They've managed to hold things over with some of those key absences. But the Knicks, I still like what they're doing out there. They're still rolling for mine. So I'm gonna go with New York over Milwaukee in that one.
Yeah, look, I feel like we've agreed on all our picks today, and I kind of just want to go against the grain and go with Milwaukee, but I do think that the Knicks are going to get a win there. Last game we're going to take a look at, BK, Lakers at Blazers. We spoke about the Blazers or Dame Lillard a little bit earlier. Lakers, LeBron could be out for at least a week now, they're saying, with a bit of an abdominal strain. So who do you like there?
That just means more minutes for Carmelo Anthony. We're straight.
The sixth man of the year, right?
No doubt. I joke, but he's actually been killing for the Lakers. So if they've still got Westbrook, AD, and Carmelo, I'll still take the Lakers over the Blazers in that one.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be a clean sweep for both of us. We agree on both our picks today. I'm also going with the Los Angeles Lakers. BK, as always a pleasure, never a chore. We'll see you again on Monday morning. Everybody out there, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, stay up to date with all the content that we'll be dropping. 3 shows a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, live streams at 9 a.m. And we'll see you guys on Monday.
Appreciate you, man.